Hey, fifth grade. So we are just about ready to start writing Memoir 3. So I want to point out a couple of things. As always, our goal is to grow and get stronger as a writer and to be able to prove that we are a better writer with our writing. And so we should see a lot of improvement from Memoir number 1 to Memoir number 3. So keep that in mind as you're picking a topic and as you're going through the motions and the writing process, writing this memoir. Don't get in a hurry. Don't rush. Don't skim over things that you know are important and are going to stand in the way of your reader being able to be there in your memory with you. Okay, so it's our very last memoir. It should be our very best memoir. So let's put some good effort into it and let's use those lessons that we've been taught and let's really apply everything that we've learned thus far about good writing. Second thing I want to talk to you about is in the first memoir, I asked you to choose a graphic organizer and I gave you 3 options. Second memoir, I asked you to choose a graphic organizer that you hadn't used before, so that you can learn more about what your creative process needs. Some of our brains organize information and sort things out differently, but we don't discover those things unless we try new methods or try different strategies. So I'm giving you that same option. I'm encouraging you to try either a graphic organizer that you haven't used before, or I'm giving you a fourth option, which is to create your own graphic organizer. So that's really the biggest difference between Memoir 2 and Memoir 3, is that you now have the option to create a custom graphic organizer that fits the way that your brain organizes and sorts information. If you don't want to and you want to use one of the graphic organizers that I've provided you with, by all means, you can do that. But what I'm looking for here is somebody who's going to take a risk, try something new, or has learned enough about how your brain works or how your creative process works that you now know what you need to sort out the details of the experience before you write it. All right, guys, so this memoir is going to function the same way that the rest of the memoirs have. I want to make sure that you're watching all the videos because I do update them each memoir as we grow. So I'm going to take a look at this slide here with you. This is also the order of the writing process with the exception of the planning sheet. The planning sheet is really for you to use at any point in the writing process and to doodle with ideas and words however you need to do that. So obviously the introduction video is what you're watching now. After you are done with the introduction video, you need to watch the pre-writing video. You need to watch it start to finish. And then when you go to pre-write, you need to be applying the things that I talked to you about in that pre-writing video. In the planning sheet video, it just talks about the different ways you can use a planning sheet. In draft 1, it tells you what I'm looking for and what I'm expecting now that you have been taught all of those mini lessons. I know in Memoir 2, some of you did not watch that. Draft 2 walks you through the revising process. It gives you some suggestions. It tells you what I'm looking for. Please make sure you watch that. Draft 3, again, a lot of you are not doing the step of editing. You're just going in and putting boxes or X's in those boxes, and I really can't stress enough that your grade depends on it. Plus, you're doing yourself a disservice. You've worked really hard to get your ideas and your thoughts on paper. To not go in and edit it is going to just keep those things from going, transferring to your reader. So make sure you're doing that. Polishing, I just talk about all the different things we do when we polish prose and what that might look like. So please make sure you're watching that as well. So this is the order that you need to complete the steps. And then when we look at your documents, pay attention to the fact that they're numbered. I put a 0 next to the planning sheet because it doesn't really have an order. It can be used at any point. But all the steps of pre-writing, all of your options start with a 1. Now I realize your name is going to appear in front of these file names, but if you just hover over the file name, it will bring up the entire file. Because I do believe some of you guys are not completing these drafts in the order that they should be completed in. And I think that happens because of the way it lists them in your work. For some weird reason, Google Classroom doesn't put them in order. It mixes them up and it's not logical. It doesn't make sense. I've tried lots of workarounds. You just have to pay attention to what file you're clicking on. You can't just go down the line. Okay? All right, well, that's all I have for the introduction. Don't hesitate to reach out and let me know if you have questions about any of the information that I shared with you. All right.